The Indo-Europeans probably lived in Central Europe. Gradually, the Germanic tribes, the ancestors of English, moved westwards. Eventually settling along the shores of Northern Europe, they included the Jutes, Angles, Saxons, and Frisians in what is now Denmark, Germany, and Holland. The invading Frisians, Angles, Saxons, and Jutes spoke closely related languages, which came to be known as Anglo-Saxon. In the words of the chronicler, Angles and Saxons came from the east. Across the broad sea they sought Britain.
Sedan eerstan hider, engle ansiaxa uppbekommen, och förbrade brimmo, bruttunu sochton.
Proud warmongers overcame the strangers. The mighty earls conquered the land, eager for glory.
Ulonke wismidas, welchas offerkomen, earles archwate, earde bejetan.
Britain had recently been abandoned by the Romans, leaving the Celtic inhabitants to look to their own defenses. Portchester was part of a defensive chain built by the Romanized Britons because of the growing frequency of Saxon attacks, so frequent that this coast came to be known as the Saxon Shore. Perhaps the most successful resistance to the Anglo-Saxons was mounted by one Artorius, the legendary King Arthur. But in the long run, the Anglo-Saxons were unstoppable. In the bloody wars that ensued, the native Britons were driven into the forests and hills of the West. There was so little cultural contact that English, which is borrowed from virtually everyone, took fewer than a dozen words from the original Britons. The final insult was that the Anglo-Saxons called the people they had conquered the Welas, meaning foreigners, from which we get Wales. The Welsh language survives because more than 1,000 years ago it was excluded by the Anglo-Saxons, who built this defensive ditch along what became the border between England and Wales. It symbolizes the gulf between the Celtic and Anglo-Saxon cultures. In England itself, the invaders settled into several kingdoms: Northumbria, Mercia, Kent, and Wessex, dividing the country along accent lines which survive to this day. The Saxon settlement provided English county names: Essex, Middlesex, and Sussex, for East, Middle, and South Saxons. It's the language of Wessex, the kingdom of the West Saxons, that is still studied today. Of course, we no longer speak Old English, and it's often taught like a foreign language. But when you listen to it spoken, it doesn't sound foreign. It sounds oddly familiar.
Uchtre was Hvalhunter.
Uchtre was Hvalhunter.
He was Swedish-speaking man.
He was Swedish-speaking man.
He was med de första männen on dem lande.
He was med de första männen on dem lande.
On dem lande whereon finnas.
On dem lande whereon finnas.
Där finnas whereon fisheras and fugleras.
Där finnas whereon fisheras and fugleras.
Och Uchtre was Hvalhunter.
Och Uchtre was Hvalhunter.
That land is Helgoland.
That land is Helgoland.
With overtones of modern Dutch and English, and especially German, Old English has familiar Germanic words, like König for king and Sprach for speak.
Zu König Athelbert and Wilde Augustina.
And sprach with hine dat he thou walde.
Anyone who knows modern German will understand the basic principles of Old English and its structural difference from the English we speak today.
Them Könige und his leode durch their Welsh stod mod.